Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I am Leonard Maganza with Syniti, and we are partnering with CDO Magazine. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Ron Thompson, the Chief Data Officer and Deputy Digital Transformation Officer at NASA and Manager of the rocket fuel that powers NASA, that being data, of course. Ron, you opened the door by publishing that quote on LinkedIn, so I felt I was free to grab onto it.
Yeah, thank you, Leonard. Really appreciate you having me out today, and really looking forward to telling the NASA story.
Good. Hey, I admit to geeking out a little bit that you work at NASA. I'm just old enough to have been alive during the moon landing. What is it like working there? I mean, I know you personally have this perspective of being outcome oriented, and NASA has some pretty aspirational goals. So, what is that like?
Indeed. Well, Leonard, it is pretty humbling. We're on the backs of giants that really, if you look back in our 60-year history, by doing our moonshot back in the 60s, and I was very young, but I too remember the little black and white TV being in the corner and seeing that grainy image of landing on the moon and walking on the moon, and it's just amazing. But I think it's really in the heart of we as humans, right? We want to continue to explore, continue to have a thirst for knowledge, continue to answer unanswered questions. And really that's the scientific nature, the engineering nature of NASA has really appealed to me for a long time, ever since I was young. Who didn't want to be an astronaut, right? Who didn't want to go to the moon? Who didn't want to be Neil Armstrong, right? So really, I have to pinch myself every day, and just the blessing that I have. The doors opened up for me at the right time. This is my 8th agency, if you can believe it. Wow. But really, the opportunity here, being the chief data officer for NASA, is very, very exciting. To coordinate across the enterprise is very, very much needed.
Yeah. NASA wouldn't call themselves a technology company or agency, but they are, bleeding edge, right, in that regard. And you're the first chief data officer, right? And they're going down a digital transformation journey, and that can have, a wildly broad, definition from, hey, we just want to make sure everything is optically scanned, right? So we get rid of the paper in case there's a fire, it can be stored, to, wow, we want to make it searchable, right? Oh, we want it to be indexed. Oh, we actually want to run analytics on even the old data. I mean, what is this? What is this journey you're pursuing, right, here at NASA?
Well, in a lot of regards, it's not that unique from many other federal agencies, organizations, commercial organizations as well that have evolved. A lot of what we have are world-class, just take our science community, world-class, really minds advancing our study of the Earth, the study of the sun with heliophysics. So we have world-class scientists that are domain experts in these matters. I think where I see my role is really to help catalog, to help identify, to help have an ontology in place where we can interoperate as an agency. Again, a lot of this, if you just look at our study of the planet, we have our Landsat platform, and we just launched a Landsat 9, just recently. That's the latest satellite that will allow us to study the Earth, and we're in partnership with many other organizations to do so. But these observation data, we have 50 years of it. Right. So if you just look at it and just the sheer volume of it, a lot of this was collected very purpose built. So we really don't have a way, and we're starting to work with our scientists.
Always digitized, or these engineers?
In some cases, the observation data is digitized because the nature of what it is, flying on birds. So this use case I'm giving you is electronic data. However, we have engineering data, Leonard, that is in the paper format that we do have to we do have to digitize, we have to catalog, we have to make findable. So that historical 50-year experiment that we did, we don't want to lose it. And there have been some instances where working with commercial partners with NASA, that they have repeated the same mistakes because we have not made available information in paper format. So we're going through that cataloging digitization effort through the agency, working with our engineering community to make sure we don't lose that historical knowledge and make sure we catalog that. But where I was going with that use case, Leonard, was the observation data of the Earth. We have over 32,000 data sets that are open data available right now for anybody to access. But we really need to take a look at how we catalog that, how we make it available to the public, and how it is searchable. So that is an effort underway that we're working with our scientific community on right now, is to really do those steps. And we have a great partnership with our scientific and scientific part of the organization, and we're gonna show up differently on how we make that available to our citizen scientists and the public.
Ron, you're at an interesting intersection. Anyone who's run an IT project will say that the two biggest concerns or risks are both data and politics. So you're in the data business by title, and you're in the politics business because you work for an agency, right? You call yourself a change champion, right? And that's really the thing that's completely required. It's a prerequisite for digital transformation. I know you've talked about the thrusts that they have there at NASA, right? AI, models, et cetera. But you talk about workforce being ubiquitous. It works across all of them. And data is the same. And that could be an opportunity for success or an opportunity for friction. So how do you kind of manage that?
So, it's something that is the cultural aspect of really thinking globally, acting locally. Where you are in the organization, acting locally, you always want to taken care of. And so within NASA, it's very complex. We have multiple domains: aeronautics. We have human exploration. We have our scientific community. We have our safety community. And then our space tech community. So those are the big business domains of NASA. So looking at how the cultural works, and why is this important, Leonard? I want to make sure we touch on this as well. So it's really again, brightest minds, experts in the fields, but working as an enterprise is not something that is first nature. It needs to be. It needs to be a priority. It needs to be, hey, you have something, but let's keep in mind that you may need to share it, right? We may need, and one area that we have, and we're talking with our chief scientist about, is the need to do cross-disciplinary exchange of thinking. Right.
That's all within the U.S. When you say cross-disciplinary, though,
it's everything. I mean, one example that's used often is studying volcanoes. We have experts in volcanoes on the Earth. Well, volcanoes off planet may be the same way. Volcanoes in Europa may behave the same way. So what happens is, and this is sort of my theory on this, is as our body of knowledge becomes very, very complex, we tend to compartmentalize and be experts in certain things. Well, my role is to again, think globally as an organization, and I would argue think globally across federal government and the commercial space as well. Think globally and then act locally. So that is something that showing up differently, showing up with transparency. So Leonard, we need to think about our next generation workforce. They're demanding that we actually be transparent in what we do, and really understanding the context of the why. So that transparency, we need to make sure is a priority. We need to make sure it's built in. We have interoperability standards. So it's just not just cataloging, make information available. It's just not scanning, the paper forms, but it's really starting with transparency up front, starting with making sure our data sets are available for other use, because you never know what kind of questions you're going to be able to solve if you mash data sets up together, and we have to do this in a safe way. So that's the other thing. We have to do this in a very secure and safe way.
Yeah.